A couple years ago, I tried to write a book which was called How to Stop Time. This was kind of still early when I was figuring out active versus passive income and also working with a team of virtual assistants. My claim was that um, you could stop time by generating assets or a team of assistants who could do the work for you so that you were earning money without actually spending your time doing any work, which allowed you to double your time and spend more of your time doing other creative projects. I've had a lot of experiments that have and haven't worked in terms of hiring people. But I do have a virtual assistant that I depend upon a little bit, mostly for content creation, content marketing. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about how you can use a virtual assistant to grow your business, or especially for authors, how you can use a virtual assistant for book promotion. So a lot of people say PA, which is personal assistant, VA is virtual assistant. The only difference, I guess, is that a virtual assistant can really be anywhere. So you can use a site like Hire My Mom or Upwork or other freelance sites to find potentially US based people who want to work online, work from home, and do things for you. For high level business stuff, that's a little tricky. Like one of my friends is looking for like someone who can take her content and turn it into books and courses and build her sales funnel. That's tricky. Like if you have skills to do all of those things, if you're a virtual assistant with skills, high level skills, and you know how to do things, you should really focus on providing a package. So rather than saying I work for $20 an hour, you would want to say I charge $500 to do these things, and it's about 10 hours of work, and I'll do this thing for you. That's how you want to promote yourself as a virtual assistant. And also, if you're hiring someone, even as an author or an entrepreneur, it can be dangerous to hire someone who just works for the by the hour because you probably don't know everything that actually needs to happen. This can be the trouble. Like if you feel overwhelmed, if you feel like you've got too much stuff going on and you just want someone else to take over and handle it, um, if you hire someone cheap who works by the hour, you have to first train them how to do everything that you want to do. So like if you're not an expert at everything, and I'm sure you're not, what you really want to be doing is hiring people who can do the things that you can't do really well, and you want to pay more so that they do a great job. For example, design. If you need to hire like design graphics made, you don't want to hire a cheap work by the hour virtual assistant and try to make her learn enough Photoshop. Although you can, like what I do because I'm a designer, um, my virtual assistant is from the Philippines. She has great levels of English. She has a master's in literature actually, and she isn't great as a designer, but I can make Photoshop templates for what I need done. For example, blog post headers, I want all to look the same way. Once I get those done, I send her the Photoshop templates. I can just let her create new graphics for the new blog content. Um, but you don't want to just say do these things and give them a list of tasks. You need to be very specific. The other thing that happens when you hire a virtual assistant is that if you feel like you're overwhelmed, but you don't know exactly what you want them to do, and then you spend your time feeling stressed because you know that they should be doing something, but you don't have the time to organize what you need them to do for you. That can add pressure, and you really need a virtual assistant who can take pressure away. You need a virtual assistant who can tell you what they think you need to do and who has the business experience. So ideally, like if I was hiring an assistant or a PR manager or a book marketer, someone who could take the burden off my plate by doing the things that I don't know how to do. The trouble is, if they've already learned to position themselves that way and they're going to charge a lot more money, which isn't great because if you haven't got the basics figured out yet, more marketing, more visibility in PR, that's probably not what you actually need. And a lot of the stuff they're going to focus on may not help sell books. So you don't want to spend a lot of money on big things unless you can figure the small stuff out first. I know friends who hire virtual assistants for like managing their ads or their advertising campaigns, um, which is something that I'm not quite ready to give up yet myself, or like their Facebook advertising. I tend to use mine for content marketing. So I talk a lot about blogging, the importance of building content, but I also say you don't have to do it yourself. You can have a list of ideas. If you have a strong writer, you can pay someone, even if you don't pay them like full time as a virtual assistant, you can pay them to create content for you. So I pay mine 200 a month for about 10 hours of work a week, but actually she only makes maybe like 5 blog posts a month, but they're really big, meaty blog posts that are going to get a lot of traffic for years to come. So I've been working with her for about a year. We have lots of maybe like 50 high quality blog posts on a couple of my blogs that are starting to get pretty consistent traffic. So those are the things that I personally would use a virtual assistant for. I have a couple of articles about how to hire, and I have a checklist, especially for authors. Like, these are the things that I would outsource that I think you can find a virtual assistant for, and it can be pretty cheap. I mean, if you can get someone for $100 a month who does a few hours of extra work for you and does some of these things so that you feel less stress and less pressure. So maybe at the beginning of every month you have to set a checklist and say, this month I want to do these things, and then just give that to somebody else so you can focus on writing and you're not doing content creation. I think that can be a very good use of money. So rather than blowing $100 on some book promotion, like a million Twitter blast, a million people Twitter blast, it's not actually going to do anything. I definitely think building content is a good one. I'll mention a couple because they're on my mind. Another really good one is list building. So you could have someone be reaching out for influencers and trying to organize things for you for your book launches. You could pay someone just for building a list of targeted potential readers or reviewers. I've been doing this there's a couple companies now that will scrape data from Amazon, so I can hire them to build me a 500-person email list of potential reviewers who are readers who like my genre or my target audience, target genre, the books that I'm writing. They'll look for similar books on Amazon and they'll find as many reviewer contacts as they can and build me a list so that I can just send them all a free book and say, hey, I would love it if you have time to read this and review the book. That's a great use of time and money. I'll put some resources down below. This is kind of a short video just to mention that I think it can be a good idea. The main problem, like I said, was if you hire a virtual assistant but you don't know what you don't know. So you don't know how they can actually help you, or you're not organized enough yet to build out a process that they can actually be using. You don't want them just waiting for you to do things, but there are things that you can outsource which will take the burden off you so you can have more time for your writing, and it can be pretty cheap to work with a virtual assistant. So that can be something that I think is a good use of money.